Lokoz boxing. Andrien Broner has been arrested after violating his probation. Once again, Andrien Broner has legal problems. This is nothing new, and it just happens to go on and off, where he gets arrested, he gets into legal problems, and he ends up having to pay all these legal fees. He just decides not to show up in court. He just decides not to pay the legal fees that he's being charged. In this case, he was asked to pay about $800,000 to a woman who sued him for sexual assault from Andrien Broner's part to her. Andrien Broner had talked to the courts and let them know that he did not have that amount to pay her. He had mentioned that he had about, if I remember correctly, about $13 left in his checkings account, and that he was able to sustain himself by getting help from friends as far as financially speaking. Andrien Broner hasn't been able to comply with any of the things that, or most of the things that the court asked of him, and this has resulted in him once again to be locked up. And I just don't understand what game he's playing. He may have a lot of money, but eventually it will run out. I don't think it's wise for any boxer or any athlete, just because they have a lot of money, to just feel like it's okay to just give their money away in large quantities to the court, to people who sue them. It's obvious that if you have money, people are going to come after you, whether Andrien Broner is correct or he's wrong. People are going to go after him. I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong. What I'm saying is that he keeps getting into unnecessary trouble, and as a result, he keeps having to pay his way out of that trouble. And eventually, he is really going to be left with no money. He told the courts that he no longer had money, and then he later posted online himself with stacks of cash. The courts themselves were able to view this and hold it against him. And then he decides not to show up in court. So every time you decide to not comply with the legal requirements or the court's verdict, then there will be more fees that will be stacked on top of it. I don't know where he's trying to go with this. I don't know what his plan is, but he's going to end up broke, for real. He's going to end up giving away all his money. I think this is all very unnecessary. This is just a repetition of what's been going on since Andrien Broner reached fame. And at this point, to be honest, he's not even very relevant in the boxing world. When he makes headlines, it's usually because he's locked up or in some type of legal problem. And it sucks because he's probably going to have to take on another fight after he gets released, just to be able to try to pay his way out of this problem. Imagine that, having to go and take on an additional fight just to give that money away because of unnecessary problems that you keep getting into. Personally, I always thought that Andrien Broner was just a wannabe Mayweather, but on a way less successful scale. But there is a big difference. At least Mayweather knew how to do things to where he was able to keep increasing his income. Well, let's hope that everything turns out better for Andrien Broner, and that, he gets his common sense back up and running, so that he doesn't end up retired with no money at the end. Let me know what y'all think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Lokoz Boxing.